It's weird that people live in New York City by choice, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't think
You're not a fan of New York
disagree.
City?
Bro, I left.
Have you been? You've spent time in New York?
It's
Yeah.
Jersey and New York are tattooed on my arm.
I love New York
and I'm
City.
gonna.
I love visiting New York City. I'll say that.
Yeah,
It's
visiting.
the best city. I love it.
Visiting is one thing, but
Living there is
there are
different,
certain
is what you're
places people
saying.
live, and I'm like, man, if you can get out, why are you still there?
You lived in Saudi Arabia for 19 years, and you say that?
Oh my God!
You'd rather live in Saudi Arabia than New York.
You guys don't have a clue.
No,
You don't
really,
have a clue.
really.
No.
Well, as a Jew,
fact
I'm
that
not
you're-
sure
the fact
they're
that
going to
you're-
accept me in Saudi Arabia.
Y'all don't have a clue,
Plus, I
man.
like to
like
drink.
how the fact that you're comparing, I'm like, dude, like what?
Shout out to my boy Quezzy Mitchell,
You're
by the way.
actually
Quezzy
comparing
loves
Saudi Arabia to New York City, bro? Enlighten me, because I'm like,
Well,
Saudi
you-
Arabia.
well,
You need
were
some
you-
serious
were you
enlightenment.
living in a-
Please,
okay.
please go visit.
Were you living in a palace
please
or
go
something?
visit.
Where are you
Talk
living
about
in
for people
Saudi
who don't know.
Arabia?
Wait, let him talk about it for people who
wanna
don't
hear.
know. Tell us about Saudi Arabia. What is it like living there?
About like living there, like in like an expat community, bro. Like you're talking zero crime rate, you're talking zero taxes, you're talking amazing amenities, fantastic infrastructure, incredible communities, fantastic schools. The company you work for paying for your child's education up to college level. You're talking about free healthcare. You're talking about fantastic weather.
But is this specifically in expat communities, you said?
Yeah, so this part, but a lot of what I'm talking about is the whole country. Saudi Arabia has no taxes, period. Okay? The infrastructure around the cities, even if you're talking Riyadh, Jeddah, et cetera, it's excellent. Very extraordinarily low crime rates. Like you are safer in any Saudi city than you are in any major city in the U.S. by miles. Not even comparable, by miles.
Do you live under the same laws? Are they like were the women in your family forced to
Sharia
to be,
law? Which law are you talking about?
Well, my understanding of Saudi Arabia is that there are repressive cultural laws about what you can wear, what you can say, what you can post. You know,
there is no liquor there, right? It's not
Alcohol free.
Yeah, alcohol.
I'm out, bro.
Alcohol free. Yeah, if that's
You
a
had
big
me
if
till
that's,
there.
if that's a big thing for
the
you.
women
then-
specifically. Do they have to wear the hijab?
So the hijab, you mean?
Hijab,
So
yeah.
it depends. So stuff has also all changed. So I left Saudi in 2008. So things have actually changed quite significantly from what I understand over the past decade.
Because
under
women can
MBS.
drive now, apparently.
Women can drive now, yes.
It's a big deal.
That is a
because
big
they
deal.
couldn't drive up
No,
until
they know-
about 2016.
Well,
No.
there was just a story recently of women who snuck in to watch a soccer
But-
game, and
but-
then I think were stoned to death, though. So,
In Saudi?
yeah.
Okay, well, you please verify that one because that sounds sketch.
Okay, but there you got to admit, it sounds awesome.
Saudi-
You got to
Saudi is
admit
awesome.
that there's,
See if you can pull that up.
you got to admit
I have
that
a-
women don't have it easy in Saudi Arabia.
Look!
West-
You're not the you're not the tourism bureau of Saudi
I'm not
Arabia,
the
and I've
tourism
never
bureau.
been there. But I mean,
No,
I'm just trying to understand.
yeah, that's why I'm laughing because I'm like, when did you go? Right, I lived there for 19 years. So Saudi is a country.
So you
that
basically
people
grew
like
up
to-
there.
I grew up in Saudi Arabia, dude. I went to school there until I would have stayed. I mean, I went to boarding school from the age of 11 back in the UK. So I was back and forth between the two countries from 11 to 20. But you know, like where I grew up, it's why I don't sound British, right? Because a lot of the people I grew up with were American. I grew up in an extraordinarily diverse community, people from all over the world. Most of my teachers were American. I was in the American school system from preschool up until 5th grade, in fact.
Interesting.
And then I switched over to the British. So Saudi is on every level, it's a gigantically misunderstood country in a lot of ways. So obviously as an expat, you have a certain experience, which is, have you been in Dubai?
I have not.
Yes.
Okay, you've been in Dubai. So
Yes.
closer to that than like some
It's
weird-
not. Saudi Arabia is not
Yeah.
Iran. Just so you know, it's
No.
not. And by the way, keep this in mind
Iran
when he's
is more
saying,
repressive?
"Are you?" Then
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. By miles, yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah,
No.
people conflate them.
Yeah, but Kai, can you pull up what I just sent you? 10 questions about expat life in Saudi Arabia answered this one website.
Okay, interesting.
And one of the things that, if you can pull that up, Kai,
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
it's actually pretty interesting. What it talks about how women flirt with men, like dating life in Saudi Arabia. Go all the way down.
Also, one thing for Gerard, it was in Iran.
It was in Iran. Okay,
Yeah,
I
so
did.
yeah,
I
there
did
you go.
conflate them. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
keep
people-
going down.
people conflate them.
Okay, accept. Press click accept. Okay, keep going down. What's like? Let's keep going. 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 Family values. Okay, keep going. Keep going. A little lower. It's about to come up here.
Saudi's more comparable to, like, Qatar
lower.
and
Little lower. Right there.
Bahrain.
Dating etiquette. First dates must be low-key affairs. If you live in the same compound or can let them into yours, you will likely spend your first date at the movies or the compound's restaurant. At most likely, society rules don't apply within a compound. This is great. Relaxed option for couples. Some restaurants in big cities also offer private cabins and are lax about letting genders mix within their establishment. Asking around your expat circles is a good way to discover date spots. Okay, so extremely conservative, many dating a local, many young Saudis now flirt more openly on apps such as Facebook, Tinder, Snapchat, and Who Share.
Oh, that's new.
However, women in particular may still shy away from sending photos over messaging apps for fear of family repercussions. Snapchat is popular, and as a woman, you may well be asked, mumkin Snapchat, literally Snapchat possible. You may also be. So dating is go a little lower, Kai. Go a little lower to see what else. Can Saudis marry foreigners? Over 700,000 Saudi women. 10% of all married Saudi women are also because our foreign husband. No. No corresponding figures are available for Saudi men married to non-nationals. So if it's a Saudi spouse you're looking for, there is hope. Arranged marriages are still often arranged between conservative families. LGBT relationship, homosexuality, transgender individuals moving to Saudi Arabia should be aware that it is illegal for men to act and dress like women and vice versa. Homosexuality activity is also against the law and attracts the death penalty.
Whoa.
That said, same-sex
Extraordinarily
men
rare
and
booze.
women may
Sorry, Adam.
find it easier to meet and socialize with potential partners, but they say what it's like to work inside.
And it says only Muslims can marry in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, expat couples of other faiths need to wed outside the
Well,
country.
are you Muslim?
No, I'm Christian.
Christian. Okay.
Yeah.
So
How are the
why did you
individual
leave, though?
liberties?
Why'd you
Oh, yeah,
leave?
go ahead.
Why did you leave?
You retire at 60 there. So my dad reached 60, and the company he worked for, you retire at 60, and so.
But by the way, if you
that
do
was
the math, so this whole thing about why don't they need taxes? Why don't they tax anybody?
Oil money.
Okay, they got the natural. It's like Dubai doesn't tax you,
Yeah,
right? And unemployment is nothing. But say if they didn't tax corporations, that money goes to who? The corporations. What's the big deal if corporations pay for kids' college education? Nothing. We can afford it. What's the big deal if corporations pay for your health insurance? Nothing. They can afford it. What's the big deal? You know what companies can do if they didn't pay taxes?
Saudi Aramco.
One of the biggest companies in the
$2.5
world,
trillion company in the world. Yeah. So
So I'll explain. So with the expat thing, so Saudi Aramco. So when I grew up there, this is in the from the 80s to the 90s, early thousands. So a company like Saudi Aramco, they basically have their own towns. So everyone where I lived worked for the same company, and they have like 4 or 5 of those like dotted around. So they're called camps, which I think was mentioned.
Wow,
was mentioned in that
that's a
article.
throwback to the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah,
man.
so it's weird. I mean, even me being in the UK, I mean, it was weird when I went to Houston and even parts of Miami, et cetera. It's weird because it looks like this place looks more like Saudi than it looks like England, right? So when I was in Houston, I was like, whoa, it looks like Saudi.
because of the refineries and all that, or because the companies?
Just everything, the way everything is laid out.
Houston.
Yeah,
By the way, it's beautiful. If you pull up Saudi Arabia and put up pictures, the buildings, the structures are beautiful. How old were you when you left Saudi?
20.
20? Did you have a
21?
girlfriend?
In the UK, yeah.
But in Saudi, did you have a girlfriend there?
Not in Saudi. No, not in Saudi. So I went to boarding school from 11. So I was
Got
in
it.
boarding school and then in university from 11 to 20 in the UK.
So the first time you had a girlfriend, how old were you?
15?
15.
Yeah.
But that was in Saudi?
No, this was in England, in boarding school.
In boarding school in England.
Yeah.
How much time? So you were literally going back,
I was back and forth between the two countries.
So you were going to boarding school and then
yeah,
seeing your family.
so during
I got
term
you.
so during term time, I'm in England, and then during the vacations, I'm back in
How
Saudi.
many months here are you in Saudi?
During that period?
Yeah.
How much vacation time is there? I don't know, 4 or 5 months.
4 or 5 months a
4 or
year.
5
You're in
months.
Saudi. The rest of the time, you're in boarding school in UK.
England. Yeah. What is the, what
I,
even
bel
is
I
this
believe
place?
it's
Something
called
like
Hogwarts in the UK. He's an oil
that.
muggle.
They did film Harry Potter partially in my university, of course.
Is that right?
Yeah, in Oxford.
No way. man.
Yeah, I think what is it? Christchurch College, I think.
You went
they
to
used it
Oxford?
for. Yeah. I'm
How
an
was Oxford?
graduate.
How was Oxford?
Oxford was cool, man. It was cool.
Is it what is it the Harvard of is it?
It's the best. Yeah.
Sell us on Oxford.
Sell us in Oxford. Well, it's the oldest university in the world, I believe.
I hate,
Firstly?
absolutely hate Ivy League elites, though. But please
Okay.
go on. Yeah.
That's all right.
I liked
It's
you
not-
up till now.
It's not Ivy League. It's not Ivy League. That's not a thing in the UK. Yeah, I mean, Oxford and Cambridge are, for decades have been the best, if not centuries, been two of the best universities in the entire world, certainly the top two in the UK. I studied computer science, which was, I didn't love my subject. But Oxford itself as a city, have you ever been to Oxford?
No.
The city is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful city. The architecture is mind-blowing, incredible.
How far is it from London? Is it
Only an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
about 90 miles or something like that. So
Is it a
it's-
party town with students because the school's
well,
there?
There's two universities. So
Okay.
there's Oxford and then there's Oxford Brookes. So there, it's quite a student-oriented place. It's quite a student-oriented place. But Oxford's a fantastic city. It's one of my probably top 5 cities in the UK, and I've been to all of them. But yeah, it's a great place. Obviously, hyper academic, you're surrounded by incredibly smart people all the time, which means you're always having great conversations, and it's good. When you're surrounded by people who inspire you in some way, shape, or form, there's a lot of value in that. And when you're somewhere with so much history, and literally, I think my college in Oxford was built in the 1200s.
Wow.
Didn't C.S.
so
Lewis go to Oxford? Was C.S. Lewis, he went to Oxford or he taught at Oxford?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not certain.
There's a movie
lot of-
about C.S. Lewis. His story is, and I think he used to go. Can you pull up C.S. Lewis profile?
Is that the
Yeah.
Rhodes Scholars? Is that Oxford?
Yeah. Oxford has Rhodes Scholars, so you get a.
So
few of those
Oxford
every
is
year.
more like a Boston. Yeah, he went to Oxford.
Oxford, yeah.
He's an
and
Oxford guy.
Cambridge.
Yeah.
Okay, he had academic.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't. Have you seen his movie? Put C.S. Lewis movie. You ever seen his movie?
I haven't. No.
Oh my gosh! I highly recommend anybody to
Okay.
watch it. It's not a story of not those movies. The story, a life story movie. Yeah, type that. There's a movie that who plays it. Anthony Hopkins plays it. There you go, Shadowlands. If you've never seen this movie, it is absolutely fascinating how interesting of a human being this guy was. From going and being an atheist to writing mere Christianity to divorce letters. I think he wrote divorce letters, screw tape letters. Maybe one of the greatest authors of all time on the stuff that he wrote. And he would go to Oxford and they would debate. To hear those debates that he would have with all these other scholars and professors and educators, the part about, was it a big debate type of school? Were you guys always, was it a debate format? Is that how you guys learned?
Not like for typical
Yeah.
not for typical learning,
Yeah.
but there's the Oxford Union, which you may have heard of, where they bring in speakers and they have there's debate societies and stuff like that.
Were you ever a part of it or no? Because
No, I was never personally a part of it. I wasn't
it.
personally a part of it. I was kind of.
I can see you doing good at that.
Yeah.
Sincerely,
Yeah,
I can
thank
see you
you.
actually doing good at the debate
That's how you
part.
debate.
Yeah.
Did your philosophy, did your kind of libertarian philosophy originate there in Oxford, or has that come later in life? Because I'm wondering here between the Saudi upbringing, and it could be my misunderstanding of Saudi culture,
Sure.
and in Oxford, it would seem that your belief system, although at least as it's presented through social media, seems to kind of be it doesn't converge with what your upbringing should be, right? Is that you seem to have come from a very controlled environment, and now you seem to promote a lot of personal freedom.
I didn't come from a super controlled environment, not in my household, nor in So Saudi's interesting because, here's something that's interesting to know is that what people call like the left-right political spectrum doesn't apply globally.
Well, it doesn't
Right?
even
No-
apply anymore. It's like a
Yeah, but
18th
it's-
century French thing.
Yeah, but if you talk to people in most of Europe or in U.S., it's always the left and the right, and Democrats, Republicans,
We were talking
Labor,
about this
conservative,
earlier
et cetera,
when I
right?
gave you
So,
some examples,
so
yeah.
like I said, somewhere like Saudi, it's ultra conservative on certain things, sort of in the middle on certain things, and actually sort of very. It's a combination of all. First of all, it's a monarchy. Right, so there are no
It's the
political
kingdom of
yeah,
Saudi
yeah. There's no
Arabia.
political parties.
What's the liberal part of Saudi Arabia?
This is what I mean, right? There's no wings, like there's
No,
no
not even
political
wings.
parties,
But
so-
what are they liberal on?
Okay, so what I mean is, look at the things some people in the U.S. What do U.S. progressives want? They want free health care. Saudi has that. They want free schooling. Saudi has that. They even want some of them, the far lefties want free university. Saudi has that.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? What do libertarians
Not the
want?
same issues.
Libertarians want no taxes because taxation is theft. Saudi has that. Right?
Why are you living in UK? Why don't you go live there?
I don't. As far as I'm concerned, I've left the UK.
Oh, so you're now what? You're
I don't know. I'm a global
International
I'm
man of
I'm a
mystery.
global nomad. After the past year and a half, I was like, I'm done with this
Are you a
country.
globalist?
I'm not a globalist.
you're living anywhere and everywhere.
I don't know. I'm in the U.S. for the next 3 months. Beyond that, we shall see. I mean, the UK,
Dude, I feel that
don't
on
know.
such a. This is what you and I always have our heated discussions about. Dude, you don't know what it's like to have corrupt politicians steal your home from you. They steal your home, and then you have to then adjust. Because if you don't adjust, then you're going to become a criminal. And that's, so they've literally, I'm sure you didn't want to leave your home, but they've made it an untenable situation.
The UK is, I feel sad. Like I was going to end up leaving the UK anyway, because my audience in the US is much bigger, more opportunities here, et cetera. So, I could well end up living in Florida, Texas, et cetera, once I get my visa. But, as for me right now, unfortunately, I'm location independent with my business and everything I do. So I'm not tied to any particular city or country, which is wonderful. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of flexible right now, but I'm very disillusioned with the UK now, which makes me sad because I do love the country.
Are you leaning towards anywhere? Or are you leaning towards where you want to live, or none at all?
If it's in the U.S., probably Florida, Texas, or Tennessee. Outside the U.S., I'm a big fan of Central and Eastern Europe. I like Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Romania, places like that.
Thoughts on Norway, by the way?
Thoughts on Norway? I've never been there.
Oh,
so
you gotta go.
I haven't been to Norway myself.
Kai's from Norway.
Singapore?
Singapore, I don't know. I've heard that Singapore's been terrible throughout all this. Singapore is another weird one because it's very authoritarian, but it's also very free market.
No taxes.
It's weird. It's another one I think sort of
Who did
like
you interview
Saudi,
that
where
lived in
it's-
Singapore?
The crypto billionaire that bought Beeples every day for $69 million.
What's his name, Kai?
Yeah.
And he swears by Singapore.
Yeah.
He swears by what it's like to live in Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore.
So,
it's weird,
what do
yeah.
you consider home at this point?
Hotel room. Any hotel room.
Any hotel room.
Yeah. I mean, look, in terms of where I'm from is always a weird question because I'm literally a British Nigerian who grew up in Saudi Arabia and went to an American school.
And does not have a British accent.
Yeah,
Sound
exactly.
like American.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And has quite a lot of, American values. Like I always get told, man, Zuby, you're more American than most Americans, right? And my, I'm, I don't like any political party, but I'm more of a Republican than I am a Tory, right?
Gotcha.
In terms of my actual views on stuff. And that's pretty rare in the UK, and I think that's from me not growing up there, living in Saudi Arabia. So with me, there's one thing I've really learned. I've traveled to about 36 countries and had heavy exposure to all these different cultures we've mentioned. And with me, one thing I've really learned is, there's pros and cons to all different cultures and political systems and ways of doing things. It's not just one thing. I think a lot in the West is people kind of have this, okay, this is the one way of doing things, this is how we do it, and everything we do is the best way of doing it. And I'm like, no, some things are, right? There's lots of stuff.
Zuby, America's number one, but
Yeah.
we're number one.
Yeah, well, people say that, but then they haven't often been anywhere else, right?
Well, Daniel
And
Tosh did
so-
a thing. Is like, people hate us because we keep saying we're number one. The terrorists don't like it. Just say we're top 10.
Top 10.
And they're like, yeah, they're top 10. All right, that's fine. PB, question for you. You kind of have a similar story. I mean, you've been all over the world. You've traveled. What do you consider home?
Listen, it's born in Iran, made in America.
Ooh, I've heard that
simple as
recently.
Born in Iran, made in
Wow.
America. It's that simple for me. I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
When you're in the military, you go everywhere. When you're, in Iran, you're coming up. You live at a refugee camp, Germany. You see it up. Travel to, 50 countries, with all the traveling we've done. But nothing comes close to this. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.